Okay, today we are working on a bit of hip mobility and a little bit of abdominal work, so linking together hips, legs and core, and we'll be using the ball a little bit too. Okay, we're going to start off on our back. First, you may already be warmed up. We're going to give the back a little bit of a stretch and loosen off by hugging your knees in towards you. Rocking the knees back and forth. Taking the feet a little bit lower and hugging the knees in. Working through to your tailbone. The knees in, down, hug the knees in, hug the knees in. And then bring your feet down, bring your knees out wide. Just gently open through the hips, stretching your arms up. Lengthen out through your abdominals, so arching your back as you lengthen out. And then arms out wide, slide your heels out. And then arms all the way down. Bring the shoulders up and then slide your fingers down again. So you can feel the difference between the shoulders hunched and the shoulders down. So your neck is going to be long, sliding your hands down. And you're going to take a deep breath in. You're going to start off with the spine in neutral. You're going to slide one heel in towards you and then slide it away again. My mat is really quite non-stick. So if you have got a mat like this, it's quite hard to slide away. I'm going to start picking the feet up in a minute anyway. So sliding in, sliding away. So feel the connection as you slide into your core and back. Now you're going to lift the foot up and bring the knee in, lengthen and down. Bring the knee in. If you find it uncomfortable to lay flat, you can pop your hands just underneath and just slightly underneath your buttocks to stop your spine from coming out of neutral. If the back is tempted to arch too much, just hold underneath that. We can pop a little towel underneath the hips if it's more comfortable. Lengthen down, bring the knee in, lengthen and down, bring the knee in, lengthen down. When the knee comes in, it's only coming in above the hip, it's not coming all the way in. And down, bring the knee in, and down, bring the knee in, and down, in, lengthen down. So still just getting warmed up for the knees and hips, and down, keeping your spine in neutral. And then bring both knees back in again and hug your knees into your chest. And then release your knees are above your hips and bring your arms down by your side. Now thinking about a bicycle, we're circling the feet around rather than just lengthening out. So think about pedaling around in circles. We're going to take it really slow. We're not rushing, we're not in a hurry, we're not pedaling quickly. We're just pedaling around really slowly and increasing the size of those circles as you go. So your spine is still in neutral. Your tailbone should feel heavier on the floor than your waistband does. So I've still got a little gap, just gap through the lower back that I can fit my hands underneath. Pedaling around, so bigger circles now if you can. Around, 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 around. And then change direction, so you're pedaling backwards. Around, around. And again, the circles are getting bigger. Around, 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 around. Big circles. Engaging your core. Stay zipped and hollowed. And then bring one foot down. And then lengthen the other leg out and have a little stretch. So try and open up a little bit through the front of your hips as you arch your back. Lengthen your abdominals. Free up the hips slightly there. And then slide your heels back in again and hug both knees in towards you. And then you're going to release your knees. Your arms are going to be down by your side, but then bring your arms away from you a little bit so they're stabilising the shoulders. Your hands are off the mats. And if you can, straighten your legs so your feet are above your hips. You're going to start just by crossing the feet over. And then just gently bring the legs out wide. Just gently start to open up through the hips. So don't go as wide as you can to start with. Just getting those hips working across and up to the side. Across and wide. Across and wide. Then start to feel a bit of a stretch through the inner thighs. across the centre. Again, don't rush, use control. Stay zipped and hollowed. Legs crossing and wide. Inhale, cross, exhale, wide. Inhale, exhale, wide. Across and wide. Across and wide. Across and wide. Come back to the centre. If you need to have a little rest, a pause if you need to. One leg is going to stay still above the hip and one leg is just going to come out to the side slightly. Come back to the centre and then the other leg to the side and to the centre. So that hip is just gently opening. The other leg is staying as central as you possibly can. If it's too much with the legs straight, you can do this with the knees bent. So you've got shorter levers. Side and centre, side, centre, side and centre. The legs straight or bent, side. So your arms are just wide enough to help stabilise the shoulders. So there's going to be no movement from the shoulders lifting off the floor. And your spine's going to stay in neutral position so your tailbone feels heavier than your waistband. To centre, side and centre, side and centre, side and centre. Really using your core, connecting to your legs and hips to bring the leg back to the centre. The further away from you the leg goes, the heavier it's going to feel. Side and centre, side and centre. One more to each side. And last one. And then bend the knees and bring the feet down. Well done. Bring the knees out wide, opening through the hips. Stretch your arms all the way up. Lengthening out through your shoulders, lifting up through your ribs, and then slide your heels out. Open up. So you lift your ribs up from your hips. Gently lengthen through your hips, through your hip flexors as you stretch. And then slide your feet in. And then lifting both feet off the floor. And then lift your arms up. So your palms are facing inwards. Imagine you've got a box between your hands. Shoulders are relaxed down into the floor. So rather than lifting up, your shoulders are down and away from your ears. Take a deep breath in. Your spine is going to be in neutral. And as you breathe out, straighten out your left leg and your left arm. And back in again. And now the right side. Lengthen out and back in. Lengthen. And if it's too much, you can do this with the arms down by your side or give the legs a little rest. Just do it with the arms. And back. Lengthen out. Bend. Lengthen out. Bend. Lengthen the leg and bend. So send the arm away as you lengthen the leg. Don't feel you have to bring the leg as far back. If you prefer, you can just straighten a little way and back. So work up to going all the way back. If you feel you can, lengthen out and back. Lengthen out. Back, still keeping the spine in neutral. Remember that tailbone feels heavier than your waistband. Think about the label of your pants. And where your tailbone is, the tailbone is going to feel heavier than the label of your pants. Lengthen out and back. Okay, so one more. And then hug your knees into your chest, lifting your tailbone off the floor. Rock your knees back and forth. Bring the feet down to the floor. Okay, now with your ball, you're going to lift the feet up, you're going to straighten the legs out, your knees are touching, and you're going to pop the ball behind your knees, squash the ball into the backs of the legs, and then bring the feet down to the floor. Arms are down by your sides. You're going to keep that ball squashed into the backs of your legs. Take a deep breath in as you breathe out. Scoop through your core. Focus on the lower abdominals as you lift the feet up. You're going to bring the knees in towards you. And then you're going to tap the toes down to the floor again. Not completely relaxing, just tap and lift. So just really just tap the floor with the toes slowly and lift. Tapping down. Exhale, lift. Scooping the knees in. Exhale. Inhale, lower. Exhale, scoop, lift. Inhale, lower. Exhale, scoop and lift. Inhale, lower. Exhale, scoop and lift. Inhale, lower. Okay, just one more. Bring the feet all the way down to the floor. Now this is optional. Pop your hands behind your head So your elbows are wide to the floor. Your elbows are going to stay wide. Take a deep breath in, and as you breathe out, sometimes you lift the feet up. You can also lift the head and arms up, stay looking up to the ceiling, and lower down again. Scoop, lifting up and down. What we're not doing is bringing the elbows forward. We're not bringing the chin to the chest. We're just activating the upper abdominals through to the lower abdominals. Scoop, lifting up and down, lifting up and down, lifting up and lower down. Just one more and lower down. Now move the ball so it's just underneath one knee. And then we're going to bring that foot down to the floor as you bring the other knee in towards you, and then switch them over, tap. So one knee, just squeeze into the ball a little bit, so you're really activating the hamstrings as you squash into the ball. So the hamstrings are activating as we're working through hip flexors. So you've got opposing muscles there, kind of fighting for glory. Tap, 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 tap. Both knees staying at right angle, there's no lengthening of the legs. Tap, and then changing legs. You have a rest if you need to, pause if you need to. And then one knee in, and tap, 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 tap. Just really light with the toes, you're not completely resting down to the floor. Tap, 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 tap. And back, and take the ball away. And hug both knees in towards you, lifting a tailbone off the floor. And then bring the feet down again, bring your knees out wide. Stretch your arms all the way up again, arching through your back. Lifting up, lengthening out. Through your shoulders, lengthening out through your abdominals. Take a deep breath in as you breathe out. Slide your heels away and stretching tall. And then bring both feet back in again. Lifting both feet off the floor. Straighten both legs up towards the ceiling. Take a deep breath in. As you breathe out, lift your arms. Lift your head, reach forward. Hold one leg in towards you. Gently lengthen through the back of the thigh. And then change the other leg, lengthening out the back of the thigh. The other leg is lowering, but it's staying straight if you can. And switch. Hug the knee in. If you can do this with your head slightly lifted. If not, bring your head down to the floor. And easing in. Stretch, ease, switch, ease, switch, ease and switch. Really give the hamstring a little stretch. Each time going a little bit closer if you can. Don't overstretch. You shouldn't be yanking the leg towards you. And it shouldn't be shaking as you do so. Just gently lengthening. Stretch, lengthen, stretch, lengthen, stretch, lengthen, stretch, and lengthen, stretch, lengthen, stretch, and lengthen, and lengthen. One more to each leg. And last one. And down, hug your knees in towards you. Lifting your head, bring your chin to your knees. And as you breathe out, you're going to lengthen your legs out. Bring your arms back. Bring the feet wide together. And hug the knees in. Lengthen, wide, together. Hug the knees in. Lengthen, wide, together. Hug the knees in. Lengthen, wide, together. And hug the knees in. Lengthen, wide, together. And hugging in. Lengthen, wide, together. Hugging the knees in. Two more if you can. Rest anytime if you need to. And hug the knees in. Last one. Lengthen, wide. Hug the knees in. And stretch out through your lower back. Bring your feet down to the floor. Bring the knees out wide as you open through your hips. Stretch your arms all the way up. Slide your heels out, stretching out from fingertips to toes. You've worked hip flexors really hard. It's going to give them a little stretch now as you roll over onto your front. So onto your tummy, pop your hands underneath the shoulders and push your hands into the floor, looking upwards, lengthen out through your abdominals. And down again, and again, push the hands into the floor, peeling up, looking upwards. And lower down, and then reach around with one hand, bring your heel in towards your hips, push your hips downwards into the floor. So with the hips pushing downwards, you're not just stretching through the quads, you're also opening up through the front of the hips, a little hip flexor stretch there. And release down, change arms, change legs, bring the heel in towards you, push your hips downwards into the floor as you lengthen, open up through the front of the hip and the front of your thigh. And release down, and then come up to hands and knees, tuck your chin down as you lengthen out through your spine. Push your back up to the ceiling. Scoop out and arch your back, looking up. And again, head down, lengthen your spine, lower your hips down to your heels, stretch your arms forward to child pose. And slowly roll yourself back up again. Well done. Have a lovely day.